Hello there, my name's Nick Davis, and welcome to another installment of Random Thoughts from a comic book nerd. Your comic book nerd obviously being me, because I'm old and a comic book nerd, as you can probably tell. Anyway, I am the independent comic book creator of a series of comic books called the Night Guardians. They are a fantasy adventure. Here's a copy of Night Guardians here, featuring a team of cuddly toys who protect you from the evil bogeyman and the monsters under the bed. These are dark fantasies along the similar line of the Amulet, Wolfwalkers, and maybe even Wishing Stone. So if you see something about it, pick it up and take a look. I think you might be pleasantly surprised by what you see. Anyway, this is not what we're talking about today. I do random thoughts, and I'm basically thinking of ways how we can improve or basically increase readership in the comic book industry. Some of them basically got some interesting comments, some of which I am never going to read out loud, because basically you never made it past my profane filters, but that's not important today. We're going to talk about a series of comic books that I grew up in the UK reading, which I think may have some interesting benefits in the American comic book market. Let me know in the comments below. Now, obviously, you can tell I'm from the UK, you can tell from my accent. I grew up reading books like The Beano, Dandy, The Sea Battle, Action, Victor, Star-Lord, Eagle. I can keep going on, but I think the biggest one you guys are probably going to recognize just your name is 2000 AD. Now, the interesting thing about all these books were they were anthology books. There were many stories in one comic book, usually about 6 pages for like Battle, Victor and 2000 AD, 6 pages per title character, each in a 24-page weekly comic book, and at the end of the month you end up with a 24-page story from each one of those characters. Now, the interesting thing about that is these stories didn't necessarily take part in the same universe, but they're basically all were sci-fi under one banner, or basically, war stories under one banner, that sort of thing. But what it did do was expose me to different artists and different stories. Stories you wouldn't necessarily pick up if you're basically just reading like one single title comic book. For example, Captain America, and that's it. You were reading a Superman title, right? It'd be a strange crossover. But these anthologies basically made you read different stories and expose you to different narratives, different story types. Obviously, with 2000 AD, had Judge Dredd, Strontium Guard, Rogue Trader, DR and Cringe, Crapload, the Future Shock Thargs, Slain the Barbarian, all wrapped up into this package of a comic book that basically is like Future Shocks or Future Stories. Even though Slain the Barbarian is technically a alternate history of Celtic times. But I was exposed and read these, and because I bought the comic book, I primarily bought 2000 AD at that time for DR and Cringe, because I was a big fan of DR and Cringe. I basically, to get the full value out of my 12 pence, or actually it was 15 pence at that time, I would basically pick it up and read every single story. So I basically was exposed to Rogue Trader, became a fan of Rogue Trader, that's a 440,000 term, Rogue Trooper. I was exposed to Rogue Trooper, became a big fan of the character. Basically, Strontium Dog I kind of enjoyed, but wasn't a bit hit and miss me here and there. Loved the hell out of DR Crinchy, enjoyed basically the satirical storytelling of Judge Dredd, and also basically enjoyed Ace Trucking, which some of you guys may or may not remember, and we also basically have various other titles that came in and out. I missed the entire Halo Jones thing, which I'm kind of sad I did, but I was exposed to all these different storytelling types. Now, maybe there's a case going forward, if you think about basically American comic books, that we take 6 pages of story from like a set amount of titles, maybe B-list characters, put them into like a weekly anthology, and at the end of the month you get a 24-page book, but you pick this up, this anthology is like $3 or $4, and you get a whole ton of characters to read about. And I think that might be an interesting way of stepping forward and increasing exposure for American comic books, and basically, exposing us as readers to different types of comic books, because we can get very much set in our lanes, and that's very much is a thing that we're all guilty of, including me. I mean, I love cat books. I very rarely would read a Batman or a Superman title because they frankly don't interest me. But I'm just pointing out that you can easily get set in these lanes and stick in them and never pop ahead because the power better to try something new. Now, let me know what you think about the use of anthologies, and maybe they won't work in the American comic book industry. I don't know, because as far as I've always seen, American comics have been single titles, but they did start out with basically like Strange Tales, Astonishing Stories, and that sort of thing. Basically, they were kind of like an anthology, but they're 12-page stories in each one of those books. Anyway, let me know your thoughts below, and I'll happily answer what I can about them. Please try to keep it clean, though, because if you don't make it past my profane filters, I'm not even going to be looking at what you do. Anyway, that's all I got for now. That's my random thought from this old comic book nerd, and let me know your thoughts in the comments below. See you around next time, okay? Bye bye.